Thank you. Merci. Next question, Marika Walsh, the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. Question, Marika Walsh, the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hi, Prime Minister. Thanks for taking our call today. I just want to follow up on, sorry, I'm trying to mute my phone. I'm just trying to follow up on some of your responses about the protesters. I understand the concerns around many of the actions for many of the protesters, but I'm wondering if you, as the Prime Minister, need to engage with the fears and the concerns that others in the crowd raised about the vaccine. There seems to be a real concern for many of them about the safety of that vaccine, and I'm wondering if you are avoiding addressing that by only focusing on the much more hateful and nefarious elements of the protest this weekend.
Marika, anyone who thinks that I haven't been talking about how safe vaccines are hasn't been listening to everything I've been saying over the past 2 years. Vaccines are safe and effective. The way we get through this public health crisis, get back to the things we love, is by trusting science, by trusting the facts, by being there for each other, by stepping up for each other. We have been hearing people hesitant about getting vaccinated for well over a year now. And we have been reaching out to them, community by community, individual by individual, at the highest level, but also in interpersonal contacts, to reassure people that vaccines are safe and effective, and that they are the way to get through this pandemic. So yes, the concerns expressed by a few people gathered in Ottawa right now are not new, not surprising, are heard, but are a continuation of what we've unfortunately seen in disinformation and misinformation online, conspiracy theorists about microchips, about God knows what else that go with the tinfoil hats. We have been clear every step of the way that the work our frontline health workers, the work our scientists and researchers are doing, the people at Health Canada, the people working on these vaccines all around the world, is the work that will get us through this, get us back to the things we love.
Operator, last question.
Thank you. Voilà maintenant pour poser une question. The first question is from Mia Robson, the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm wondering, a lot of the leaders or organizers of this convoy have asked to meet or at least hear from you about what's happening and their demands. Have you or will you or anyone from your government meet with them or negotiate with them in any way?
My focus is standing with Canadians and getting through this pandemic. The way to get through this pandemic is to continue making the challenging choices and sacrifices as citizens, as individuals, as communities, to keep each other safe, to trust science, to trust facts, to continue being there for each other. That is my focus. That is what I will stay focused on.
Can you explain the reason why you won't participate or meet with them? I mean, you've attended rallies on the Hill in the past, including during a Black Lives Matter protest and others. Is there a reason that you can give as for why you will not discuss or have any negotiations with this particular group?
I have attended protests and rallies in the past when I agreed with the goals, when I supported the people expressing their concerns and their issues. Black Lives Matter is an excellent example of that. But I have also chosen to not go anywhere near protests that have expressed hateful rhetoric, violence towards fellow citizens, and a disrespect not just of science, but of the frontline health workers and, quite frankly, the 90% of truckers who have been doing the right thing to keep Canadians safe, to put food on our tables. Canadians know where I stand. This is a moment for responsible leaders to think carefully about where they stand and who they stand with.
Opératrice, prochaine question.
Thank you. Merci. La prochaine question est de Laurence Martin, Radio-Canada. La parole est à vous.
Oui, bonjour, M. Trudeau. Je me demandais comment est-ce que vous allez faire pour apaiser la grogne là, qui s'est exprimée dans les derniers jours à Ottawa. Je comprends qu'il y a des éléments extrémistes dans le mouvement, mais il y a aussi beaucoup de gens qui ne le sont pas, qui étaient à Ottawa. Qu'est-ce que vous allez faire pour apaiser leur colère?
Ben, tout d'abord, je pense que tout le monde à travers le pays, qu'il soit ici à Ottawa ou non, est frustré. Tout le monde a de la grogne. Tout le monde est tanné de cette pandémie. Tout le monde est épuisé. Tout le monde veut que ça en finisse. Tout le monde voudrait bien qu'on puisse dire « OK, c'est fini » puis qu'on retourne à ce qu'on voudrait faire. Mais la vaste majorité des Canadiens savent que ce n'est pas en rouspétant qu'on va finir cette pandémie. C'est en se faisant vacciner. C'est en écoutant les meilleurs conseils de santé publique. Et la meilleure façon qu'on va pouvoir passer à travers, la meilleure façon qu'on va pouvoir continuer d'être là les uns pour les autres, c'est justement en démontrant qu'on comprend l'importance de suivre la science, les faits, les experts en santé, les experts en santé publique. C'est comme ça qu'on va sortir de cette pandémie. Et c'est sur ça que je vais me concentrer.
En suivi, Laurence?
Certains vous accusent d'avoir politisé la question de la vaccination obligatoire, entre autres durant la campagne électorale. Qu'est-ce que vous répondez à ceux qui disent que vous portez une partie de la responsabilité là, pour la grogne qu'on voit s'exprimer à Ottawa depuis quelques jours?
Les Canadiens ont choisi de se faire vacciner à un taux plus élevé que presque n'importe quel autre pays dans le monde. On a vu à chaque étape les Canadiens choisir d'être là les uns pour les autres. En plus d'avoir un taux de vaccination plus élevé que beaucoup de nos pays pairs, on a aussi pu protéger et notre système de santé et nos aînés et voir rebondir notre économie de la bonne façon. Je comprends qu'il y a certaines personnes qui choisissent de rejeter la science, qui choisissent de rejeter l'entraide et le service et les sacrifices que font la vaste majorité des Canadiens, mais c'est leur choix. Mon choix, c'est de continuer d'être là pour les 90% des Canadiens qui, oui, sont tannés, mais qui savent que la façon qu'on va passer à travers, c'est en restant solidaires, en se respectant les uns les autres et en suivant les consignes de santé publique.
Operator, next question.
Thank you. Merci. The next question is from Tom Perry from CBC News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Prime Minister. Thanks for taking our questions. Supporters of this movement will say that it's a small minority of people in this protest who are causing trouble. So is it fair to focus in on the obviously terrible behavior of some and paint all protesters with that brush?
I think, obviously, the right to free expression, the right to assembly, the right to make your displeasure known in a democracy is extraordinarily important and needs to be heeded and respected. But there have been many, many protests over the past years that I've seen, that I've been part of, that I've watched from a distance on Parliament Hill and elsewhere, where people come together angry about a certain thing, wanting something else to change, that don't see the level of hateful rhetoric, of swastikas, of abuse towards their fellow citizens. There is always a right to protest peacefully that I and others will defend fully as part of this democracy. There is not a right to incite violence, to perform acts of violence, or to spew hatred. And I think anyone who is part of this group who is disgusted by what the folks protesting alongside are doing needs to step up and take responsibility, condemn these actions, and look for other ways to express their displeasure.
Following up.
You talk about politicians exploiting people's fears. Who are you talking about, and what impact do you think they're having?
I think all politicians need to think very carefully about who they're supporting, about what messages they're putting out. We have seen over the past many, many months, conservative politicians sharing disinformation about vaccines, encouraging conspiracy theories online. And I think Aaron O'Toole is going to need to reflect very carefully on how he's walking a path that supports these people who do not represent truckers, let alone the vast majority of Canadians.
Operator, next question.
Thank you. Merci. La prochaine question est de Boris Proulx, Le Devoir. La parole est à vous. Thank you. Merci. The next question from Sanda McCharles, Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Yes, Prime Minister, you said that Aaron O'Toole has to think carefully, but he did meet with some truckers on Friday. Do you think that was an inappropriate gesture of support to truckers, or specifically about anyone else in terms of his caucus, and can you speak to McInerney's participation?
As part of our job as politicians, every single day, we make decisions about who to meet with, who to respond to, how to respond to them, who to engage with, how not just our engagements, but our example impacts on public discourse. If we choose to put up with and tacitly support conspiracy theorists and folks peddling disinformation, that's a reflection on what we choose to do as politicians and who we are as leaders. Obviously, I'm going to trust in Canadians' understanding of the kind of responsible leadership that is needed right now. And I'm sure Canadians are watching what all politicians are doing right now and remembering who is choosing to stand up for what and for whom, and what choices they are making as leaders. I think through this pandemic, Canadians have seen and have a right to expect responsible leadership. And unfortunately, that's not what we've always seen from the likes of Aaron O'Toole or even more, Maxime Bernier.
Following up.
Given the behavior you outlined today, what do you want to see the security forces on Parliament Hill and in downtown Ottawa do about the situation?
Well, first of all, I'd like to make sure that people are safe, first and foremost, that small businesses, restaurants in Ottawa can get back to work, that citizens can go to their jobs, that parliamentarians can continue to do the important work of serving Canadians, of upholding our democracy. Yes, there is a right to protest. There is a right to make your voices heard loudly and clearly. But there is not a right to shut down our democracy or our democratic processes. There is not a right to abuse, intimidate, and harass your fellow citizens who are trying to go about their business, trying to live their lives, and not necessarily in agreement with what you are doing.
Opératrice, prochaine question. Operator, would it be possible to put Marika Walsh on the line? She didn't get her follow-up.
Perfect. Thank you. And we don't have Marika Walsh in the queue anymore. I'm sorry.
Thank you. This is what ends today's press conference.
Merci tout le monde.